If you've got a framing project coming up, there's a couple things that are critical to think about before the crew arrives. On today's Build Show, we're going out to Stephanie Dailey, our Utah builder and contributor to the Build Show Network. Let's go see Stephanie with things to think about before you frame. Let's get going.
All right, guys, today we are on a project where the framing is just about complete, and I'm going to walk you through a few of the things that we think about ahead of time to try and make this stage go a little easier and have our finishes be spot on. So come on in and let's check it out. We're going to start down here in the basement. There's a lot of stuff going on upstairs. So first thing we like to think about is the plumbing fixtures, and in this case we have a lot of wall-mounted toilets. We also have a lot of wall-mounted faucets. So when we get to the framing stage, if we can just give the framing contractor all of the information he needs to frame these wall-mounted toilets ahead of time, we don't have to worry about the plumber coming in later and then having the plumber reframe the wall. That's not our preference. We would prefer that the framer does it so that it's nice and straight and we know that we have a really good wall. So first and foremost are those toilets. We use them a lot, so that's a big priority for us. Another thing over here is going to be flooring height changes. So we have the theater and we've got the car showroom. Both of those areas have different flooring height changes, and it really is determined based on the client's furniture layout. So neither one of those has been touched yet because it's better for us to frame them right in the first place than it is to reframe them. So those are both going to happen today. We also want to be paying attention to ceiling drops and ceiling treatments. So in this space, you can see we've got a lot of steel beams behind me that are dropping, that are just structural. We originally thought we would tuck the floor trusses up. However, the design for that ceiling has since changed. And so what we're doing now is framing the entire ceiling in this space down. That will give us enough room that we can place can lights in a very specific grid and also get all of our HVAC ductwork through there in a pretty neat and clean space without dropping the ceiling with a bunch of different levels. So we will bring that down all to the same height and have a nice clean space. Another thing that we like to think about ahead of time is going to be niches and walls. So down here in the bathroom, all right, so this is one of the shower niches that will be in the basement guest bathroom. One of the things that was really important to us is to have this shower niche centered under the window once the window was framed in and the tile was done around the niche. So you can take a look at that one. We're doing it in every single bathroom in this space. We haven't made it to the other side of this yet, but these niches are really important to get straight ahead of time. And you can see we've actually used the engineered lumber to frame those, which really helps us in the long run. So let me show you over here and I'll show you some different ones that we've got going on. Okay, we've made our way upstairs. And one of the things you're gonna notice if you've paid attention is all of these items are highly related to interior design. One of the hardest things for a home builder is the connection between the interior designer and the construction team. So having someone that can really help facilitate the in-between is really, really important. This space is a great example. This is an office that has a mid-wall mounted fireplace and a very, very intricate lighting detail at the top. The ceiling in this space is completely flat. So the way that we were able to accomplish that detail without dropping the entire ceiling was by placing the fireplace front in between a space of trusses. We're just gonna notch up in between the trusses so that we can get the light strip that we need to accomplish that interior designer's detail. But in order to get that information at this stage, you really need to collaborate with the designer and the customer. And so that you can have that information ahead of time, it just prevents you reframing things or tearing down walls and redoing them in the future. So fireplaces are another big one. Key things to think about are height off the floor, spacing placement, are there cabinets on either side? And then a really critical thing with fireplaces, depending on which fireplace you select, is combustible material allowance. So it'll tell you exactly how close you can get combustible material to the face. And that's why you see a lot of these fireplace fronts are framed left open. And that's because that needs to be framed with a steel structure. So that's another big one to keep in mind. Let's walk over here to the kitchen. I'm going to show you the next couple items. You really need to be able to have the communication about ceiling height changes. And in order to do that, you really have to be able to see the 2D plans in 3D. Sometimes your architect or designer will provide you a 3D model. Other times you just really need to rely on the professionals around you that do this every day. And one of the things that we see a little differently than most other people when we look at a set of plans is all the ceiling height changes. This space is a great example. We have an island that sits right in between two separate ceiling height changes, which really prohibits us from putting some ceiling pendants over the island without making it look a little funky or calling attention to that ceiling detail change. So in this space, we've decided not to do any pendant lights, but instead accent light both from underneath the cabinets, below the toe kick of the cabinets, and then also from the ceiling. So pay attention to those different framing height changes and really rely on the people around you to help you understand what that looks like if you don't have the ability to see it in 3D. There's a ton of other cool framing things that you guys will see down the road from this project. So thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more videos on The Build Show.
Guys, if you want to see more of Stephanie's content, including an amazing series that she's got under construction right now called Altitude Adjustment, go to thebuildshow.com. That's where you're going to see actually we've got 15 contributors now, plus a few Build Pros. This is an amazing website. New content literally every single day there. But if you want to see more of Stephanie, go over there to see her content. If you hit the hamburger menu at the top, you'll see Build Experts. Click on that and you'll see Stephanie Dailey on the list. That'll take you to her landing page. By the way, follow her on Instagram. She's an amazing Utah builder that's posting nearly on a daily basis, including that job site that I talked about, Altitude Adjustment. With that being said, guys, hit that subscribe button. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.